All right, let's begin. And connect to our Ujjayi breath, aligning skull, top of the skull, crown, over the base of the pelvis. And feeling how breath occupies and buoys that entire space through your body, this vertical space we'll call core. We'll start to shift into Ujjayi. You're hearing that evenness of white noise. And the similar sound on the inhale as the exhale. And feeling exactly just how much resistance or impedance this Ujjayi is placing on the flow of your breath. We're finding that Ujjayi that can be so consistent. You can feel the precise amount of restraint or restriction. We don't usually think of yoga as having restraints and restrictions, perhaps, but absolutely just that right, perfect amount of both containment and release. And this is what our Ujjayi, the production of that little glottal contraction, is helping us create just the right amount of both containment and release. So if I just turned off that Ujjayi, it would be all release, almost no containment. That's where we get things like sighs, all release. And on the extreme other side of the spectrum is where we get things like lots of containment, hardly any release, where we kind of hold and contain and almost forget to release. That Ujjayi is going to help us make this a two processes at one time. So we'll keep remembering that as we go throughout our practice this morning. Okay. So we're going to start a little bit where we left off. We're going to set the legs widely apart. You didn't have to remember splits, but I know we did splits yesterday. So You don't have to get into splits. We're just sitting and setting the legs widely, just widely enough where there's a little more feeling access here. Now, if I felt like my inner legs or my backs of my legs were really snug and sitting like that was a little bit work, I would maybe put a little wedge of something like just like a half inch behind my butt, just to kind of wedge and roll my pelvis forward a little bit. All right, we're going to move through some rounds of Uddiyana with our legs set widely in straddle. So let's give a little play. So here we will inhale, we will hold. We will exhale, we will hold. So in, hold, out, hold. I'll talk us through the whole thing. Inhale, telescope the ribs away from the hips. So we're feeling that vertical buoyancy. The crown moves away from the floor of the pelvis. And when you feel that's full, we'll pause. And here we are retaining our breath. But as we're retaining, we're deeply internally softening. So you notice there's many layers of containment or holding that we can be doing. It's not just the skin or the outside of our body. There's a deeper degree of softening we can feel for. Right, that's plenty. We'll bring the hands just in front of the thighs. Swift, thorough exhalation. I'll usually exhale out my mouth, just to be expeditious. I'll stay empty, and we'll go with the feet active. So I'm spreading the foot bones. Feel a little breeze between your toes as you draw the belly in and back and up. Now as the belly lifts up, notice the shoulders. Sometimes they want to go up too. Move the shoulders down. And in effect, taking the ribs up, the shoulders down, the belly up, the sit bones down. Don't worry if you didn't catch all that. That was a long list. I'll say it again next round. Relax the belly. And as you inhale, we'll just come upright. And when we're coming out of this Ujjayi engagement, Uddiyana, engaging this Uddiyana, do your best to inhale and exhale in those grand, smooth, non-deficited ways. In other words, we don't have to come out of our Uddiyana like we've just come up out of water. All right, let's do another. Inhale, spreading breath through core, down to pelvis, to skull bones, everywhere in between. Now pause. Here we'll hold the breath. Internal softening, wherever you can find that internal softening. It's usually very, very close to the core. Keeping the feet active. We'll expel this. Hands in front of thighs. Quick expulsion out the mouth. Just whoosh it out. Move the chin nearer to the sternum. Keeping the feet active. I'll go through that again. We draw the belly in and back and up. The belly lifts up. Move the shoulders down away from the head. Lengthen the ribs away from the hips. Sinking the sit bones right into the earth. And note that internal softening applies here too. When you're starting to feel the emergence of a gasp or a command, get more breath. Notice there's an internal softening. Okay, and of course, relax the belly when you need to breathe. We can do it in an ungasping way. All right, for our third, our last round, let's bring the soles of the feet together. There's a lot of hip groin time. Let the good times roll. So as you're inhaling, you might instinctively or intuitively just start to move your breath toward an area you've started to notice. It's started to come online as, ooh, here's somewhere I want to look. Here's a place I want to know. I will hold. And if we breathe with that intent, we're still retaining and carrying and absorbing that intent. So we do the inner theater, feel how the breath becomes absorbed with each subsequent softening. There's a quality of absorption. Oh, I'm taking in this breath. Bring the hands forward. We'll do a swift expulsion out the mouth. Stay empty. Draw belly in. You're drawing from the perineum. You're drawing from the low belly. You're drawing from the low belly above the navel, drawing the upper belly. Gliding the shoulders down, away from the earlobes. And softening so that core lengthens. As you intend to promote this lengthening, and I'm going to release here. You can release when you want. But as I intend to promote this lengthening, sometimes you'll feel a little residual resistance somewhere. And I'll just share something I've encountered, especially when there's some digestive or some gut things online. Sometimes in those very deep, subtle remaining contractions, that can give us clues as to how to start to work and where precisely to work and feel when we have some other issues on board. We can feel that residual resistance or contraction. So these are really valuable ways to study. Where's there still a little grab? All right, let's hold the legs together. Okay, and I do say sometimes, these aren't like hard rules that always work. It's just gotta kind of do the science of human nature, right? All right. Let's lie on our back. Hopefully your spine feels good here. Okay, if you've got an unusual surface underneath your spine, we'll try to make it nice. There you go. You're all set up. Good. Let's bring the feet off the ground, the knees over the hips, and we'll interlace the hands behind the brain and under the neck. It's right there in this very precious juncture. The hindbrain, the bottom of the brain, the spinal cord. It's kind of a big deal area. So with the feet active, just spreading the toes, just getting the foot muscles. Inhale, we'll float the head and the shoulder blades up off the ground. And we do this not by pulling the head, but by using, those really deep front muscles. We shift the tailbone and exhale. So you're hearing that smoothness, that consistency of Ujjayi as you're sending that left leg out. And sink the belly in and down. There is some similitude to that Uddiyana we just did. Inhale, bend left knee. Curl tailbone, and now exhale. Hear the exhales. You send the right leg out. And here, go for straightening. We're going to continue doing a lot of leg things today. So as you start to involve the muscle and straighten and open the joints and just feel the end ranges, that's going to be great. Sink the belly in and down. Inhale. Let's bend that knee. Bringing the knees over the hips, shift the tailbone, exhale, send the left leg out. Involve the muscles, let them squeeze all around the joints, let the foot bones flare and open and spread, and sink the belly in and down, expressing and sponging those gutsies. Inhale, bend the left knee, bring it back over the pelvis. Curl tail, the shoulder blades are absolutely off the ground. Exhale, right leg, send it out. Sinking the belly as you're exhaling. Sinking the belly a little bit more post-air exhale. All right, inhale, bend that right knee. Let's keep going. Let's do 2 more on each side. I'm going to just take a little peek. See how things are percolating on your side. There you go. There it is. Now when we hear the Ujjayi, the producing of that sound corresponds to a feeling. And the feeling is one of both release and containment. It's a valve. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to feel how that goes in your body. Because the way your diaphragms, vocal diaphragms, solar plexus diaphragm, pelvic diaphragms, the way your diaphragms interact with each other is going to be different than the way my diaphragms breathe and play and interact with their neighbors. And yes, your Ujjayi breath can have lots of volumes or contours. It's an adjustable thing. The valve can be opened a little bit. The valve can be constrained a little bit more. It's going to produce louder and softer sound. But it is a tool for letting out more carefully, more slowly, holding in reserve, and also drawing in carefully, holding out cautiously, keeping at bay. So there's this wonderful boundary study that we can do just within the Ujjayi breath, how we use it, create it, feel it, how we know it. It's a beautiful study in boundary. Okay. All right, we'll do some straddle lifting through. So we'll bring the legs vertical And they may be bent a little bit here. It just kind of depends on your structure. And we'll separate the legs widely. And with the hands behind head, inhale. We'll float the head, shoulder blades right up off the ground. And exhale. Outreach, foot bones. We spread them out because fun. Pull low belly, gather, drag that belly in and down. Just kind of a little tissue find, a massage, a muscle find. Inhale, right down into the pelvic floor. Right down to the genitals, because you can, because we can. Exhale, tailbone shifts. When we exhale, you'll start to feel if there's a correspondence. When I exhale, does my tailbone shift? Does my pelvis move? Outreach through the legs. Sink the belly in and down. Let's keep going. Inhale, right down to the genitals and the pelvic floor. So even if you don't feel something today, just cast your feeling net as far as the pelvic floor. And then exhale with the low belly muscles, hearing that ujjayi as you're outreaching through the legs, and then sink the belly, draw it in, draw it down. You're doing that soft tissue work right near the pubic bone. It's kind of a pulling and a moving. All right, let's keep going. Inhale, right down past the pubic bone, right into the pelvic floor. Cast the net, the feeling net. And then exhale. Feel as if, feel that when you exhale, the low belly muscles, as they move, there's a little shift in the pelvis. There might be today. It might be starting to spark. And sink the belly in and down. Let's keep going. We'll do 5 more. These are great. These are great for us. Hear the ujjayi breath. Notice if your breathing has started to sound like it's more release than containment, or more containment than release. And there's this valve-like action. So there's something you feel as you're employing ujjayi breath. Do let the breath move. As we keep playing with this ujjayi technique, as we do in most of our asana practices, there's a constancy. So we can hear that constancy of that white noise, that ocean sound. And when you're entirely through with those, just set the head down, use your hands, help the legs together. All right, if you want to turn to a side and press up, just so you can see how we might start this process of half virasana. So this is my left ankle beside my left hip. This would be the one of the virasana, so half. Both would be full. Okay, I've started in a seated position. And like yesterday or some other days, sometimes we start it in bridge. But I'm going to start it here. So if you don't have a block to prop you up nice and high, like bridge, this is another wonderful place. So from seated, just one leg in there, I'll start to move my hands back. My preference for my body, my preference, I think, for y'all, is I keep the shin and the knee on the ground. So I don't just whee and let the knee kind of flail in the breeze. I like to just walk it back. Maybe my hands get to the ground. Maybe my forearms get to the ground. Maybe I get a little poof of, I don't know, a cushion, stack of towels. Maybe I get a poof of something under my shoulder blades. Or maybe I just lie it all the way down to the ground. Now there's one more possibility here. Let's say you lie all the way back in this half virasana. There's a few more places we can play. We can grab the other leg, drawing the thigh to the chest. And if you have all the props and the want, you can lasso your foot and we can do a fold. All right. So the first element is just placing the left ankle by the hip and deciding if this is going to be good for the knees. So sometimes knees are like, I need that hip higher. All right. So sometimes this is the half virasana, just getting the hips elevated and just starting to explore leaning back. This can be an extraordinary pose when you have all sorts of props and things around. And if you're light on props, just do your best. I'm sure there's some good stuff we can get into, just what we have. So I'm just going to prop it down to the forearm so I can see where y'all are. And I've just started on the left side. If you're on the right side, it's okay. So keeping the shin and therefore the knee just in contact with the ground, just so they're not waving and wiggling. Now, I'm going to create a kind of a bi-directional movement or intentionality in the body. In one of these movements, through the inhalation, feel for growing the breath from the hip and the abdomen right up into the chest wall, lifting the ribs toward the jaw. And as you're exhaling, here's the other directionality. Intend left thigh or virasana thigh. Just soft send away from the abdomen. As if your kneecap is expanding away from your abdomen. Go really soft on that. I think soft effort is more than enough. And we'll give it a small handful of great breaths. Hear the ujjayi. So in a position like this, did we start to hold or overly contain our breath? It's not uncommon. So we just release the ujjayi so we can do some other kind of fast release of breath. So part of the slowing, it's kind of like changing the frame rate a little. We want to feel something differently than we usually do. One of the ways that we have is changing our breath, changing our entire rhythm through which we perceive. And we know this from the music therapy and the deep musicality of just our humanity. We'll switch sides. I'll finish the story. So if you had your left leg in half virasana, I'll often just kind of spill to the right and just let that leg go. Okay? So we'll switch over to the right side if you need to start from seated, or if you're just lying back and you just kind of tuck the right heel in there, that's perfect. So our bodies understand this power of music and rhythm. Like if a parade just went marching by and I was doing dishes, I bet you I'd start scrubbing dishes in time with the parade, like or I'd start to think in the expansive rhythm of the ocean if I sat by the ocean. We entrain, and we're entraining and perceiving through this rhythmic filter of our breath. And so in the context of our yoga practice, we just need to have that breath awareness. We're using the ujjayi to just help slow it down, so we can take this information in at a different pace, through a different rhythmic filter. At the end of the day, we're just playing with time and space, right? There you go. Remember that bent leg that's helping kind of keep you from rocking and rolling? If it's within your desire, you can grab that thigh and draw it toward the chest. It's an option. It might go a little snugly, and I would do that if my shoulders were on the ground. All right, you're looking really comfortable. So that's enough comfort. Let's exit. And if you had that right leg tucked in, usually I'll just pour off to the left. So when you turn over, I want to show you this dorsal fin. We'll get into it second, so not right away. I just want to make sure our shoulders are warm. But let me show you the dorsal fin. Let me just show you what we're getting warm for. So if from, say, dolphin, if I'm able to put my weight in one arm or one shoulder, be taking that heel really close to the buttock, getting maybe a hand hold. Whoopsie. And that's kind of the fun of it. And then it's possible this foot will help draw and lift, so you get a little lighter on the shoulder. Okay, so that's dorsal fin, but first, dolphin. We got to get all of our sea mammals in here. All right. So let's set up, elbows under shoulders, forearms out in parallel. We'll draw the shoulders away from the jaw, and exhaling, we'll press the knees away from the ground, softening through the neck. As we soften through the neck, we're allowing Just by taking some of the contraction away from the head and the neck, we're allowing a little more blood. So you might even feel that fluid flow, that fluid difference in your face and your neck. And that's perfectly fine. We can breathe while this fluid shifts in our neck and our face. Just keep that Ujjayi breath going. And this is just a sidebar. This is not medical advice whatsoever, but just exploring some ways of thinking. When I'm thinking about how does one move material from, we'll say, the nasal area, the mucosa membrane, the sinuses, I think about how do I get blood to an area and then blood away from an area. So by feeling how your blood moves into your face and neck and how it moves out of the face and neck, maybe there's some healing medicine in that. All right. So we'll take our weight into the right forearm. Now, if this is a really not good thing for the shoulder to have all the weight in one shoulder, just dose in a little weight and keep, right? You can always keep forearms on ground. All right. Weight moving into the right forearm. If you're taking the left hand away, you can start that process. And if you're taking the left hand away from the ground, take the right heel toward the buttock. And even just the removal of these two limbs from the ground can feel wonderfully spicy, rickety, interesting. And so just you can play with that rotational fun. If you are grabbing the foot, just grab without momentum. I've never once seen someone whip their arm around and catch their foot like a nunchuck. Never seen it. There you go. All right, we'll set that right foot down. We'll set the left forearm down. We'll keep playing. So either just spilling your weight into the left forearm, maybe it's 10% more, 50% more, or we can take the right hand entirely away from ground. Left heel toward left buttock. And then here you'll decide, does hand grope around and find the foot? Keep breathing. And we'll set the left foot down, the right hand down. We'll set the knees down. Inhale, slide hands under shoulders. Push the earth to get the shoulder blades to scoot round the ribs. And then exhale, press back, downward dog. Softening through the neck. Softening through eyes. And I want to make a suggestion as we take 2 more deep fluid breaths in Ujjayi in our downward dog. I think I noticed a little clutching around the high chest area, like between the shoulders. So that is part of our core. Feel for softening even that area of core. There you go. There it is. I know we can press back and really clamp down around the top of the heart or the lungs. Inhale, right foot forward, warrior one. We'll start with the pelvis, getting the pelvis basically facing forward. Then we can address this left leg. So I'm getting as many ball mounds of my left foot to contact the ground as I can. So you just kind of have to play with the pitch of your foot. Everyone's ball mounds kind of arc differently around their foot. Okay. And then when I feel as many of those ball mounds making contact, then let's start to send that heel toward the earth. So I'm using those quads, expanding open the back of the knee. At the same time, I'm kind of moving this right knee. I'm trying to bi-directional. My right leg is leading me forward, my left leg reaching back. And we'll take the arms up. It's okay if the heel or the ankle doesn't permit us to contact the ground, but I think that was sometimes get interpreted as we could have a soft little bouncy warrior. I think we can play strong. All right, twisting warrior. On exhale, we'll hook the left elbow over the right thigh. Now keep reaching back through that left leg. So that as we turn, we'll make a left hand fist so the right hand can press it. Sending that left leg. Inhale, the guts, the ribs, lengthen that left rib, left set ribs away from your thigh. The whole left side gets to play. Inhale, unwind, step the left foot forward for standing pigeon. We'll grab the right foot with both hands. So grab the foot with both hands, or the thigh and the foot. Whee! What matters is that we grab the foot, we're able to be active with that right leg so that our knee feels well protected. We use the muscles to push and envelop and unwrap and keep that knee feeling sweet. So nothing should feel sharp or twangy. All right, inhale, set the right foot down. Now, pigeon, when we step the left foot back, this is not a casual pigeon. So once we get that right knee and the right shin, just well contacted ground, I'll walk this left leg back. Now, my preference is to do this from forearms. And as I walk that left leg back, there's that sweet spot. Curl the toes under. And moving with the sound of your exhale, heel lifts back, the knee lifts up. Soften through the abdomen and under the heart. So the trunk, notice if you're kind of, it's the subtle, not so subtle, balling down. I just want to help us catch it. It's really common response to strong sensations around the legs. Just notice if you're doing a balling up through the guts or just under the heart. And keep working that leg really strongly. And feel this as you soften the guts toward the horizon. Soften moving the chest toward the horizon as that heel and that leg get drawn back and back. Then we'll softly set the knee down. Inhale, the hands under shoulders. Exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, we're going to play with a turbo dog variation. Bend elbows. Bend, 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 bend. The point of bending the elbows is to wrap the shoulders. So keep the fingertips pointing ahead. The middle finger points ahead. And now pitch the right foot in. Inhale, pick the left foot off the ground, heel toward buttock. And as we exhale, pour that left leg weight over the right butt cheek. Send that left elbow and forearm toward the earth. Send that left elbow and forearm toward the earth. Keep that turbo dog on the left side. As you reach that elbow toward the earth, not onto the earth, just toward it, you're going to prevent yourself from flipping over like a rotisserie. And as you're sending that left thigh away from your nose, let's get a sweet deep breath into this left side. This whole left side, abdomen, ribs, hip. It's getting a really sweet wash of breath. Go ahead, lift that left thigh, send it. Send it. And then we'll set that left foot back down to the ground. We can reposition our feet. We'll just do that one side right now. Warrior one. Let's inhale the left foot forward. And we'll start just pelvis. We'll work our way down. Feel the ball mounds connect to the earth. Now as I'm reaching that right heel back, actively sink your left leg forward. So a little bidirectional forward, backward. Get a nice strong play in that leg. Let's take the arms up. When we start to get strong feelings kind of percolating in the body, whether they're happening through our environment or we're self-inducing them through some strange asana practice. Notice how we contain or release, or even release to the point of forgetting our breath. I hear how that ujjayi is helping us work with all of the sensation and energy, not just like 3% of it. Playing with all of that. Twisting warrior. Exhale the right elbow over the left thigh. Keep reaching right leg strong. Doesn't matter if the heel is on or off the ground. You can still reach with a strong right leg. Yes. Yes. Good. Now inhaling. Feel this right side diaphragm, ribs lengthening away from that leg. Ooh, going to aerate that right side. And then exhaling, softening deeply internally. And in the softening, we can twist a little further. Deep, deep internal softening. And inhale, unwind. We'll step the right foot forward, standing pigeon. Let's get a hold of this left foot. Now, if I had a knee issue and the pigeon shape wasn't my best feeling shape, just remember we can play with these angles. I might just play with this angle before this angle. Inhale, we'll set that left leg down for not so casual pigeon. So I want to ensure my left shin and knee are in full contact with the ground. And I'll just walk my forearms down, my leg back. And on exhale, heel reach back and the knee suspends off the ground. And start to involve the leg. Go ahead, involve it. The quads, the hammies. Open up that back of knee. Got some nice little foot and ankle muscles. Get nice and lit up, those little shin muscles. And as you're drawing that heel back, just if you're doing any little subtle rumpling up in the gut, I just want to point it out so that you have a chance to notice it. Because if I wanted to diminish feeling perception, energy movement, if I wanted to build a recipe to diminish, one possible recipe I would make up is clench gut. Right? Another recipe, I might say clench, contract jaw, contract, these are all sensory areas. We'll release that right knee to the ground. Inhale, hands under shoulders. Exhale, we'll press back, downward dog. Stay tuned, we're making this turbo dog, so we bend the elbows. And this time, pitch the left foot in a little, and we'll take the right heel toward the buttock. Raise and reach that thigh back. Then we'll start to pour that right leg weight over the left butt cheek. Okay? The important thing is that right arm. Reach it. Reach that right forearm toward the earth. In the reach of that right forearm, you'll stabilize. There you go. And then play with the thigh. As I reach the thigh out, oh, there's my abdomen. If you had been rumpling up your abdomen, now's a good time to feel the spread outness, the vastness through that gut area. And it might feel brand new, like, wow, my gut is so showing. Revealment. Deep breath. If I keep revealing myself to myself, I reduce the possibility of deluding myself. Humans are so good at deluding. Like, it's not really cheating on if I just have one cookie. We do math, we'll do acrobatics. We'll set the right foot down to the ground and press back into downward dog. All right, softly, we'll set the knees down. Let's have a seat. All right. So an hour goes by fast. If you want to do more tomorrow or Wednesday, I'll just change our plan up. So, but let's just do one little thing for our head. So I'm going to reach the right palm away from neck. So palm away from neck. And I'll turn the thumb down. Maybe the fingertips point down, but just enough. To give me a little different sense of this neck and shoulder. breathing in and through the scalenes. And we'll switch sides. I'm relying on my palm and arm reach to help me create this kind of torsion more than I'm trying to take my head off in some strange position. So I'm really trying to use the flex of the wrist, palm push, turn the thumb down, maybe the index points down, push out, create most of the torsion for your shoulder and neck here. Just angle it down, angle it back. And then it affords you access to the neck with minimal head angles, neck flexion. Just breathing in and around that carotid. I just wanted you to have just another feeling moment for how blood and fluids might be moving through the head and the neck. And how those are readily mediated through contraction and release, just the ones we can become aware of. Awareness is powerful. All right, let's release and let's take any position that you find restful and like closure for your person. So Shavasana is great unless you vastly prefer a seated position. So part of the last posture is a theater. And I mean that in the best way. It's speaking the language of our unconscious, our conscious. Because our body is the unconscious, it is the conscious, it's all of the things. We don't get to pick and choose that much. And so we're just speaking the language of closure to our whole body. Letting our Ujjayi breath, like we're turning the volume down on the Ujjayi. Just lifting that glottal restriction, that valve-like action, lifting that away. And then we'll do a very brief kind of whole body breathing. When we started our practice, we first concerned ourselves with these two diaphragms of the body, the very top of the skull and the base of the pelvis, the pelvic floor. And then, of course, we may have played through the solar plexus diaphragm, the diaphragm that helps contain the top of the ribs and lungs as being different from the neck. And the base of the skull as being contained and breathing differently than the neck. So all these diaphragms, all these ways that we recognize our breathing, is noticing these intelligent boundaries. And I just want to give us a moment to practice feeling all of these diaphragms, all of the ones you can find that you're aware of, that you can image, that they're all breathing together. And I don't mean in the same direction or in the same rhythm, but there's a whole body breath that's being negotiated and transferred through these diaphragms. Intelligence boundaries, these intelligent ways of containing and releasing. Yeah, how the pelvic floor breathes with the solar plexus diaphragm, and how the solar plexus diaphragm breathes with the top of the rib dome diaphragm, thoracic. Which breathes with the base of the brain, the bottom of the skull diaphragm. Which breathes with the top of the skull diaphragm. And if you don't have a sense of these being diaphragms or respiring, just play along. It's fine to visit these areas of the body, whether we can attune to a specific anatomy or not. Now, when you're ready, bend knees. We'll turn to a side, use both hands pressed to seated. Sunny times. Namaste. Glad you're all here.